And,
Yes, man.
I'm like, why does everybody always like, you don't have to say good.
You don't want to infringe on anybody else, you know? That's
Say
like the
that.
thing too.
Go deeper on that.
Like it's that feeling of like, you know, I don't want to be a burden. Because you're not, because the thought is like, you know, when you're meeting with a stranger, like you're speaking to a stranger, or even somebody you see like in class, um, they're like, how you doing? You don't really mean how am I doing? You just, you know, it's the same as thing as hello. But then it's like, think about it. Imagine if I actually am, not saying you specifically, but I actually am asking like, how are you? You know, like I played a game with my friends. I played a video game with my friends a lot. And one of them got on. He's like, hey y'all. And I was like, how you doing? And he's like, who just asked me that on Prophet? I'm like, me. I'm like, I'm serious. Like, how you doing? And he's like, oh, you know, I just chilling, like, had work, yada, yada. Kind of was a bad day. I'm like, oh, you know, I mean, we on the game now, though. At least we're here. You know, like, things like that. But I really care. But it's like, you got to recognize, if he just said, okay, I recognize, like, how many people probably ask him that blanketed question, you know? So then I go to, like, oh, how was your day? When I say, how you doing? Or like, how has your day been? And it's like kind of forces you to get out of the instant response of just good, you know.
Is there real value? Is there real value in being able to verbally articulate the issues that we're struggling with without asking someone to try to solve them for you? Is there value?
Yes.
Expand.
Yes. Oh,
why?
My God. Anytime I'm talking to anybody about the problems I'm dealing with, I don't need you to solve them. I don't need anything from you. I'm just talking because I've been talking to myself all day about it. I don't even need you to say anything. This is the form of venting. This is what I need. And that's the thing too. Like I tell people a lot, like talk to yourself, you know, like verbally, just because it gets it out. If you're just thinking in your head, it doesn't make sense. But when you like speak it verbally, it's kind of like writing it down. And you kind of make a lot more sense of it. But you should, like, you don't have to expect people to solve a problem. And if you're the person listening, you shouldn't always feel like this person is talking to me because they need answers. Maybe they just want to be heard.
Dude, I mean, that is the single greatest like human desire and craving, is to be listened to and understood. Which, look, because Samantha's gonna listen to this in a week. Like, she knows that I have. I'm like the Major League Baseball player that bats 200 at that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, high enough to stay on a team, low enough to sometimes be questioned. But here's what I will say. I really appreciate how candid and transparent you're being about that, because I struggle with the fact that I'm like you. And I think that's like one of our bonds, being decades apart and having just met in you know, since my move to Michigan. But like, I love people, man. I want good for everybody. I'm not malicious. I'm not malicious.
You want to help.
I care. I'm not trying to solve people's problems all the time. But when I say, hey, how you doing? Like, you actually being authentic in that moment, that doesn't burden me. A burden is, hey, I've not talked to you in 10 years. Can you pay this bill for me?
Yeah, that's different.
That's a completely different, that's completely different experience. So I really appreciate what you said. And I want to clarify, like, to me, you know, if we're walking around and we're saying, hey, how are you? And you know the type of human we are, it's because we really want to know how you are. And you know what like a burden is, or shortchanging us is lying about how you are.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's the thing too. It's like, you know, it's you can't ever pressure anyone talking about things because it's all on their pacing. But it'd be like, come on, you know, I know you better than that. I see your whole energy off. You usually walk in here and give me a big hug. You came in here, you didn't even take your shoes off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm noticing all these things. I didn't ask you how you doing because I'm just talking. Something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like things like that, man. But yeah, I think too, like with me, and probably you too, like I'm solution oriented. I don't care about the problem. I don't care to talk about the problem way more. You're trying to dissect the problem, why the problem is the problem, how the problem got here. I'm trying to figure out how to get that solved. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always first to like to jump into action. But with that being said, a lot of times when it's like more like intimate relationships, whether it's your mom, whether like people who actually are in your life, when they just need to be heard, it's like you want the best for them, so you don't want to like. It's hard to watch and be like, you need to figure this out for yourself, or you don't even need me to fix something. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're in like a position of like certain things that they need done, you could just handle yourself quickly. But it's like you can't interrupt their journey, and they're not talking to you sometimes to even like have you do that. They're just talking to you for you to be an ear. And it's like, would you rather do all these things that they didn't ask you to do, tire yourself out, or just lend them your ear and not take like 10% of your energy? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And they walk away feeling fulfilled, and they don't feel like they owe you. No one ever feels like they owe you anything for you being an ear to them. No one ever feels like they're just grateful. They're like, I'm so appreciative that you're here. You know what I'm saying? But once you get all the politics of like, I paid for this and did this for you, and it's like you're counting favors. But it's never too hard to like just stop speaking and listening to people. But when you talk, you can't hear anything but yourself. So it's like you just gotta be quiet and let the person talk.